San Diego's housing market has doubled in just 18 months. Normally prices would have dropped 8 to 12% by now, but instead they're holding steady right around $930,000. Something strange is keeping the market frozen, and it's setting up a big shift for 2026. I've been helping families here in San Diego for 15 years, and today I'm going to show you what's breaking every single real estate rule right now, and what it means if you're planning to buy or sell here in 2026. So let's break down what's really going on. To get started, inventory has doubled, demand has softened, and somehow prices haven't even moved. It's one of those rare situations where the numbers look a little bit off, but they're not. In early 2024, San Diego County had about 1.7 months supply of inventory. By mid-2025, that number climbed to 3.5. That's double in less than 18 months. And normally, that kind of increase would cool prices really fast here. But this time, the median home price is still floating right around $900,000 to about $935,000. And that's not even the strangest part. Days on market jumped nearly 40% compared to the start of the year. Homes that used to sell in under a month are now sitting 30 to 40 days. Active listings are way up across the county, and closed sales are down 5 to 10%. So just think about that for a second. More homes for sale, fewer actually selling, longer wait times, yet prices are still flat. On paper, that makes literally no sense. And make sure you guys stick around, because later I'll share some key takeaways you need to know about, plus a few strategies that actually work in this market, but I'll get to that in a bit. Now, normally when we see inventory double like this, like it did back in 2019 and 2020, prices drop 8 to 12% within a year. But that's not what's going on now, and it comes down to two powerful forces pulling in opposite directions. On one side, you've got buyers who are waiting for rates to fall. On the other, you've got homeowners locked into 3% mortgages who refuse to give them up. Those two sides are stuck in a standoff, and the gridlock is keeping prices from sliding. This shows exactly where we are in the market cycle. For buyers, it means negotiating power still exists, but probably not for too long. And for investors, it means stability in the middle of chaos. And for anyone thinking about making a move, this is the signal to start paying close attention before momentum flips again. And now that you understand how unusual this setup actually is, let's talk about what comes next. Billions of dollars in new infrastructure and development that are already reshaping San Diego's future. Alright, so that's how two completely different groups of sellers are shaping this bizarre market. One group has almost stopped moving, while the other is throwing everything they have at buyers. Let's start with the builders. Around 66% of builders provided incentives in August, the highest level in 5 years. Big names like Lennar, TriPoint, and Shea Homes are leaning hard into rate buydowns instead of straight price cuts. But the crazy part is that about 14% of the average sale price in Q3 went to incentives, the most we've seen since 2009. And 37% of builders quietly lowered their base prices by about 5%, but they hid it behind these massive incentive packages. Take Lennar, for example. They're offering 2-1 rate buydowns that start at 2.99% for the first year and 3.99% for the second. And on top of that, they throw in anywhere from $20,000 to about $138,000 in incentives across their communities. In short, they're selling the idea of 3% interest rates while the actual market sits right around 6%. And in a bit, I'll share those wild 2026 market predictions. You'll see that these builder incentives are only part of the story, so stick around. Now let's talk about sellers. Roughly 80% of US homeowners with mortgages have rates below 6%, and more than half are below 4%. That means most people are locked into deals they'll never get again. This is what we call the rate lock-in effect. Only about 5 to 7% of today's market are true move-up buyers, compared to around 12% in a normal cycle. People simply just don't want to give up their cheap loans. Just think about that for a second. If you've got a 3% mortgage and want to move into a similar home at today's 6.5% rates, your payment could easily jump by more than $1,000 per month. That's pretty brutal math for most people, and it's getting people to stay where they are. Now, through 2025, delistings have climbed as the lock-in effect slowly eases. Homeowners list their property, realize they can't afford the next step, and pull it right back off the market. So what we're seeing now is a tug of war that's really never happened before. Builders are trying to move inventory by creating fake affordability, while homeowners hold tight, waiting for rates to drop. So this split, this strange imbalance, is what's going to define 2026. And next, I'll show you how a tiny slice of the market is about to control pricing for everyone else. But before we dive in, if we haven't met yet, my name is Bern McGovern. Whether you're buying your first home, deciding when to sell, or looking for your next investment, I'm here to reach your goals. My contact info is in the description below, so reach out so we can get started. Alright guys, you know what's strange? New construction only makes up about 5 to 10% of total home sales. levels. Yet, builders are basically setting price floors through creative financing. When 66% of them are using 2-1 buydowns, assumable loans, and seller credits as normal incentives, it's not just competition anymore, it's a different pricing system altogether. These 2-1 buydowns lower interest rates by 2 to 3 percentage points for the first 2 years, with some programs advertising 2.99% for the first year. Especially when you think about the advice I'm going to give buyers later on about targeting specific communities. But I'll get to that in a bit. Now here's a quick, simple example. A 2-1 buydown on a $425,000 home saves about $9,300 over the first 2 years. Now that helps buyers qualify for the loan in the first place. A straight price cut of that same amount doesn't do that. Creative financing is making a comeback, and it's a game changer. These buydowns help buyers qualify despite 6.5% mortgage rates because they lower debt-to-income ratios when people apply. Now here's my prediction for 2026. Builder-funded financing solutions, the kind resale sellers just can't really match, will become the main force shaping this market. While resale inventory keeps building up because of the rate lock-in effect, new construction communities will set the tone with their creative financing offers. We're heading into a market where cash flow matters more than price, where financing becomes the deciding factor, and where a small part of the market with deep pockets ends up controlling prices for everyone else. But the real story is in the local details. Now, here's where it gets weird, and I'm about to show you 3 areas where this exact dynamic is playing out in completely different ways. In one of them, people are still getting into bidding wars despite everything we just talked about. Yeah, you heard that right. First up, let's start with Chula Vista. The median price sits right around $823,000, up about 1% from last year, with homes averaging 33 days on market. In September of 2025, 148 homes sold. That's up from 137 the year before. What's interesting about this place is that multiple bids are still common on well-priced homes, averaging about 3 offers each. The rise in inventory hasn't slowed that competition, because buyers see it as one of the last places where they can still afford to get in. Now let's move north to San Marcos, where builders are basically steering the entire market. And the year-to-date numbers in 92078 tell the whole story. For detached homes, prices climbed from $1.25 million to $1.346 million, a 7.5% increase year-to-date. Days on market also bumped up from 30 days to about 35 days, showing that things are still moving, but with a little more breathing room than last year. But attached homes, they're heading in the opposite direction. Prices slipped from $765,000 down to about $720,000, a 5.9% drop year-to-date. And days on market rose from about 31 to about 38 days, which is a big jump and a sign that buyer demand for condos and townhomes has cooled a little bit. And this pattern isn't unique to 92078. 92069 is showing the same split, with detached homes holding firm while attached homes soften. The gap between the two product types is widening across all of San Marcos. And a big reason why is the Hill District, which is where most of the new construction sits. You got Lennar and Shea Homes mostly, and they're pumping out fresh, modern townhomes with big incentives. And that's where buyers are gravitating to. And just east to all of this is Harmony Grove Village South, which will likely begin building in early 2026, and will be adding 400 more homes to the area. Then there's Oceanside, which high inventory meets some of the most aggressive builder incentives in the county. We're seeing a clear builder versus resale split, with new construction reshaping the entire market dynamic. You got rate buydowns, big price credits, and special financing offers happening everywhere. A great example is in North River Farms, where homes start in the mid 900,000s. They're having a ton of grand opening incentives, with 17 different home designs across 5 different neighborhoods. These communities are setting the price floor for the entire area. Now, the map tells the story that most agents completely miss. This isn't one single market anymore. It's multiple markets running on completely different rules. Builders are actually calling the shots on pricing while traditional resale activity slows way down. So whether you're buying or selling in this strange new market, the rules have changed. And now I'll show you exactly how to use what we've covered to your advantage. This is where I share what I'm actually telling my clients. Not the same old advice you hear from every other agent, but the real moves that are working right now. And if you're planning to buy or sell the next few months, you'll want to hear this. First, for buyers, your best shot right now is to take advantage of builder incentives, while resale supply stays tight from the rate lock-in effect. Many new construction communities are giving 2-1 buydowns and 3-2-1 buydowns, with their first rates as low as 1.99% in some cases, and that's huge. And at the same time, resale inventory is up 47% from last year, giving buyers more negotiating power than we've seen in years. Price drops are showing up on roughly 40% of listings, the highest level we've seen since 2020. Now here's my specific strategy for buyers. Target new communities with high inventory, and negotiate hard on resale properties that have been sitting for 35 days or longer. And don't be afraid to ask for seller help with closing costs or even rate buydowns. The goal is to make sellers compete with builder incentives. Now, for sellers, your challenge is real. You're competing against 66% of builders who are throwing serious incentives at buyers right now. That's why your focus needs to be on preparation and timing. The window to get your home ready for early Q1 2026 is right now, before the market shifts again. Your home needs to be move-in ready. Fresh paint, staging, and clean finishes go a long way in this market. Buyers don't want projects anymore. They'll want turnkey, and they'll pay more if it's done. And think about giving your own version of incentives. A seller paid buy down or a rate credit to match what builders are doing. Talk to a lender and see how much it would cost to offer a 2-1 buy down to a potential buyer. And that may be more appealing to a buyer than saving $15,000 on the sale price. It sure seems to be working for the home builders. Also, make sure you price competitively from day one. We're seeing homes sell at around 97% of the list price on average, so overpricing only hurts you and your home could end up sitting for weeks. And make sure you highlight what resale homes have that new builds don't. Things like established locations, mature trees, no HOA fees, and the ability to move in right away. The biggest mistake I see right now is sellers waiting, thinking the market will shift in their favor. Now, if rates drop into the 5s next year, and that's what many economists are predicting, we could see a flood of inventory from homeowners who've been locked in and finally decide to move. Waiting could mean blending in when you could have stood out. San Diego's housing market is in an odd spot right now. Inventory is going up, but prices are holding pretty steady. What's really happening is a split. The resale market's kind of frozen right now, while new construction is charging ahead. For buyers who get how builder incentives work, that opens up some really good opportunities. But for sellers, it's tough going up against builders with big budgets. And if you're thinking about making a move in this market, don't try to figure it out alone. The strategies that worked even just 12 months ago aren't working anymore. So email me at bern@off56.com today, and I'll personally send you a custom market analysis for your specific area and situation. I'd love to help you guys out. But before you go, you've got to see what's actually driving these market changes. I found some clear shifts in how buyers are acting, and they're opening up chances most people don't even notice. Click the video on the screen right now. It ties right into everything we just talked about. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.